My name is Leona Hayes. I'm 32 years old. 3 months ago, I thought I was planning a wedding. Now I'm sitting alone in a silent condo, staring at a $1,500 box of cream-colored invitations that mean absolutely nothing. They say heartbreak hurts. That's not true. Heartbreak freezes you. It happened on a Thursday night, 11:17 p.m., to be exact. My fiancé Mike Dawson was in another city celebrating his bachelor weekend with his best friend Ben. They were supposed to be out drinking, laughing, maybe regretting bad karaoke. I didn't mind. I actually enjoyed the quiet. It felt like the calm before a new chapter. Then my phone lit up. Mike. Hey, so this is super awkward, LOL, but I ran into Julia. We ended up back at her hotel and accidentally slept together. It just made me realize I'm not over her. We talked all night and we're getting back together. Sorry this is so last minute. We're flying to the coast tomorrow, so I won't be back. At first, I thought it was some sick joke. I reread it 3, maybe 4 times, waiting for a follow-up text that said, "Just kidding." Instead, what I got was worse. Mike. Oh, and by the way, I'm keeping the ring. It's a clean break gift, for my future with Julia. Don't try to contact me. It's better this way. Ben will swing by for my stuff next week. I stared at the screen. No tears, no shaking hands, no screaming, just stillness. A silence so complete it felt like my heartbeat forgot what it was supposed to do. The ring, his ring, the $80 $1,000, 3.5 carat diamond. He picked out the one he insisted was his idea, but of course it wasn't. It had been his obsession. Mike was all about status, about what people saw, not who he really was. When we went to the jeweler, an exclusive place downtown, he made a show of it. Even asked the saleswoman to take a photo of him holding the display box. "Leona, babe," he'd said, smiling for the camera, "it's my ring. I want it under my name. It'll look great on my credit profile. A revolving line from this store says success." And me, ever the supportive fiancé, said, "If it makes you happy." So he opened the credit line in his name, $80,000. Our agreement was simple. It was his debt, his status badge. But I would help make the monthly payments as my gift of love. I set up an automatic $2,500 transfer each month to his jeweler account. We'd paid 4 installments already. Now he was running away with Julia wearing that ring and proudly announcing that he was keeping it. I typed one word back. "Me, thanks." He must have been confused, but I didn't care. Within minutes, I opened my banking app, canceled the recurring $2,500 payment labeled Mike Ring. Then I pulled up the jeweler's latest statement and attached it to a new email. Subject: our arrangement body. Per your text, our arrangement is over. The account is yours now. Thanks, Leona. I hit send. It was almost midnight, but suddenly I felt more awake than I'd been in weeks. I looked around my condo bought 5 years before I even met him. Only my name on the deed, my name on the mortgage. He'd been living here on a small contribution for utilities, barely more than a tenant. Within minutes, I opened my smart home app and changed the front door code. Then I sent one last email to Alicia Tran, my brother's lawyer. Need immediate consultation. Broken engagement, cohabitation, asset protection. He's left the state with another woman. Please call me. By 1 a.m., I had canceled everything. The $30,000 wedding venue, the $20,000 caterer, the $8,000 band. $15,000 gone in non-refundable deposits vaporized. But I didn't cry. I was past that. I logged out of all our shared streaming accounts, changed every password, and then finally picked up that box of invitations. It was heavier than I expected. I carried it to the building's recycling chute and dropped it in. When it hit the metal bottom, the sound echoed up the shaft. Sharp. Final. I made coffee at 2 a.m. By 3, I was sitting in the dark, sipping slowly, surrounded by quiet that finally felt like mine. I'd lost $25,000, but I'd gained something worth more control. Because Mike didn't realize it yet, but his first payment on that $80,000 ring was due in 5 days. And this time, there'd be no one making it for him. Morning sunlight spilled across the floorboards of my condo, landing on the spot where his shoes used to sit. Funny how absence has weight. I made coffee and opened my laptop. There were 27 unread emails, venue, florist, photographer, all politely confirming cancellation, received deposits non-refundable. Each one felt like paying a toll to leave hell. By 9 a.m., Alicia Tran, my lawyer, had already called. Her voice was calm, professional, the kind of calm that makes you realize you're safe now. "Alicia, you did the right thing changing the locks. He's not on the deed, he's legally just a tenant. We'll file the abandonment notice today. Me. What about his belongings, Alicia? We'll send a certified letter giving him 30 days to pick them up. Civil, clean, airtight. Civil, clean, airtight. Words that felt better than revenge. For the next 5 days, silence ruled. No messages from Mike. No calls from Ben, his best man. Just the quiet hum of my espresso machine and the sound of my own breathing. Then, on the 6th morning, the first crack in the calm appeared. A voicemail from Ben. Hey, Leona, Mike's having some issue. His card got declined at dinner, and he got some email from the jeweler. I guess you forgot the payment. He's freaking out. Julia's upset. Can you, just pay it this once? It's embarrassing for him. Embarrassing for him. I listened twice, then deleted it. An hour later, my phone rang again. This time, an unknown number. I knew that voice the moment it spoke Charles Dawson, Mike's father, a man who had once called me a good influence on his son. Charles, Leona, sweetheart. I'm hearing all sorts of confusing things from Mike. He's away clearing his head before the wedding. His card declined his credit lines showing missed payments. You know how important his credit is. You need to fix this. Me. There's nothing to fix, Charles. The ring's in his name. The debt's his. I was just making payments as a gift until he ended the engagement. Charles laughed sharp, condescending. A gift. Come now. You can't just take that back. You promised to pay. You're trying to punish him over a mistake. Me. A mistake. He slept with his ex and left the state with her, Charles. He made a bad decision. Everyone does. You're being cruel, Leona. He doesn't have $2,500 a month just lying around. You know his income. Me. Then perhaps he should have thought of that before flying off with Julia and an $80,000 ring. Charles snaps. You've trapped him. Me no Charles. He trapped himself. I ended the call before he could shout again. Then I blocked his number. That night I was halfway through a bowl of soup when the intercom buzzed. The sound froze me mid-spoon. Leona, opened the damn door. The code's not working. Mike's voice. I walked to the intercom and picked up the receiver. Me. All communication goes through my lawyer. You're not on the lease anymore. Mike. What the hell are you talking about? My stuff's in there, my laptop, my clothes. Open the door. Me. You abandoned your tenancy. Schedule a pickup with Alicia. She's available tomorrow between 10 and 2 for a civil standby. Mike. Civil standby. Are you kidding me? I'm calling the police? You're insane. I hung up, then waited. 30 minutes later, there was a knock. When I opened the door, 2 police officers stood in the hallway. Behind them, Mike and Julia. Her hand looped through his arm like an ornament she didn't want anymore. The older officer sighed. Ma'am, we got a call about an illegal eviction. This gentleman says you locked him out of his home. Me, evening officers. This is my condo. I'm the sole owner. I handed over a copy of the deed Alicia told me to keep ready. He was my fiancé now, former tenant. Last week he sent me this text. The officer read the message where Mike said he wouldn't be back. He read it again, then turned to him. Officer, sir, this clearly says you're not coming back. Mike. She's twisting my words. I was emotional. Julia snapping. He's punishing you. He stole your ring. Me the ring he's wearing. The one bought on his credit line. The officer's gaze shifted to Mike's hand. The diamond glittered like an accusation. Officer, sir, this is a civil matter. We can't force her to let you in. You'll need to go through your lawyer to schedule retrieval. Mike, voice cracking. So I'm homeless, Julia murmurs, pale. You can stay with me, babe. But her voice trembled, the kind of tremble that says she just realized something expensive. When they finally left, the hallway fell silent again. I locked the door and leaned against it. Through the wood, I heard Mike hiss, "You told me she bought it for you." And Julia's voice brittle breaking. "You said it was paid off." The elevator doors closed. Back inside, I stared at my reflection in the window. Outside, the city pulsed millions of lives, none of them mine to fix anymore. I was out $25,000, yes. But I'd gained peace, real, unshakable peace. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not because I'd won, but because he'd finally realized something I'd learned long ago. When you build your life on borrowed credit, the bill always comes due. For a few blissful days, my life returned to something that resembled normal. Coffee, work, silence, the kind of peace that hums like white noise. Too fragile to trust, too temporary to believe in. But people like Mike never disappear quietly. They come back not with apologies, but with paperwork. The first strike was subtle. Mail. A mountain of it. Credit card statements, shopping catalogs, even subscription boxes he'd ordered under my address. He'd changed everything back to my condo, deliberately. Alicia's words came back to me from our first call. Watch for paper trails. Some try to reestablish tenancy through mail delivery. I called her that afternoon. Alicia. He's trying to create a record that he still lives there. Classic move. Me. So what do? Alicia, bundle it all. Mark every envelope. Return to sender recipient does not reside here. Don't open a single one. Me. And if he keeps doing it, Alicia, then it becomes harassment. And I'll handle it. So I spent the evening sealing envelopes one after another. It felt ceremonial, like sealing a coffin. Every box of Mike's mail became a reminder that I was burying something toxic. Trick 2, the sympathy play. A few days later, I opened my email and found one from our old wedding photographer. The subject line made my stomach twist. A thoughtful offer for Mike and Julia. He wrote, Leona. I'm so sorry about the cancellation. Mike explained how you've been struggling emotionally. Since your deposit's non-refundable, I'd love to transfer that $20,000 credit toward a new beginnings photo shoot for him and Julia. They seem so happy, and I just want to support them. I laughed out loud, a dry, sharp sound that didn't feel human. Mike had not only cheated on me and fled with his ex, now he was trying to use my money for their couple's photo shoot. I forwarded the email to Alicia. Her reply came 15 minutes later. Alicia. I've already responded. The photographer understands the situation now. He apologizes. He was misled. Your ex has a talent for emotional propaganda. Me. He always did. Trick 3. The big one. The legal demand. Alicia called me on a Wednesday morning with a tone so neutral it could have been carved from glass. Alicia Leona, his lawyer, just sent over a demand letter. Me. Demanding what? Alicia, everything. The document was 10 pages long, a manifesto of entitlement. He claimed unlawful eviction, emotional distress, and property theft. He wanted $10,000 in damages for alternative lodging and emotional trauma. But the pièce de résistance, the part that made Alicia pause mid-sentence, was about the ring. Our client asserts that Ms. Hayes fraudulently induced him to open the jeweler credit line under the pretense that she would make all payments. He demands Ms. Hayes either assume the entire $80,000 debt or pay $120,000 total, including damages for credit harm and emotional suffering. I read it twice. Then again, he was suing me to pay for the ring he was still wearing while living with his ex. Alicia's counter-response was a masterpiece, clinical, surgical, devastating. Every word dripped with precision. Your client, a professional in luxury branding, willfully and enthusiastically opened this credit line under his own name to improve his portfolio. Ms. Hayes's payments were a conditional gift, the condition being marriage. Your client unilaterally broke that condition as evidenced by his own message, I'm getting back with Julia. Ms. Hayes's thanks was formal acceptance of his new terms. The debt and its consequences are now solely his. When she read it aloud to me over the phone, I felt something shift inside. Not joy, not victory, just release. Me. He's really going to drown in this, isn't he, Alicia? He's already halfway under. Let him tread. That night, I sat by the window watching rain streak the glass. For the first time, I felt the edges of guilt. Was I being cruel? Had I turned into someone cold, vengeful, petty? Then I remembered his text. Accidentally slept together. LOL. My pity evaporated. Leona voiceover. He taught me that love isn't destroyed by betrayal. It's replaced by clarity. A week later, the calls began again, this time from unknown numbers. I didn't answer, until one voice slipped through that made my stomach twist. Leona, it's Julia. Please call me. It's urgent. He's falling apart. And that's when I knew the real collapse had started, and I wouldn't have to lift a finger. The voicemail came on a rainy Thursday. Julia's voice trembled like she'd been crying for hours. Leona, please. I know you have no reason to care, but Mike, he's falling apart. The jeweler's calling nonstop. His credit cards are frozen. Collectors are leaving messages at his dad's house. Please, can you help him? You loved him once, right? Loved, past tense. She got that part right. I played the message again, not because I cared, but because it sounded like karma had perfect timing. A few days later, another call came, this time from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity has always been my fatal flaw. Mike Leona. Thank God. Look, this has gotten out of control. The jeweler's hounding me, Julia's furious, and my dad says I might have to sell my car. You have to fix this. Me. Fix what? Mike. Mike. You know what you were paying the ring. You can't just stop like that. It's destroying my credit. Me. You destroyed that yourself. I just stopped funding it. Mike. You're doing this to punish me. Me, no. I'm letting the math punish you. There was a pause, followed by his voice softening, manipulative, familiar. Mike. Come on, Leona. I made a mistake. I panicked. Julia, she means nothing. I just didn't want the fight. Please, can we talk? One coffee, that's all. Me. You left me over text, Mike. You kept the ring. You sued me. You've said everything you needed to say. And then I hung up, for good. Later that evening, Alicia called. She'd received an update from the jeweler's legal department. Alicia. He's officially delinquent. They've already applied the penalty APR 29.99%. He's now in over $50,000 of interest and fees. If he doesn't pay within the month, they'll forward the account to collections. Me and Julia. Alicia. If she's still with him, she'll see exactly what he's worth on paper. I tried to smile, but it didn't feel right. There was no thrill in watching someone drown, even if they dragged you into the water first. It was heavy. Like holding a mirror to every wrong decision I'd ever ignored. That weekend, my brother came over. He looked at the empty wine glasses and unopened paint cans scattered across the living room. Evan, you're redecorating me, thinking about it. Evan. That's your version of moving on, huh? Paint therapy. Me laughed softly. Cheaper than therapy. He sat beside me. Mom says you're too calm about all this. I shrugged. Maybe calm is what comes after the storm burns everything down. He didn't argue. A week passed before the next surprise. Alicia forwarded me a voicemail she'd received from a frantic Julia. Please, Ms. Tran, I'm begging you. Mike's losing it. He tried to sell the ring. The jeweler said it's only worth $30,000 resale, and now he's screaming that Leona ruined his life. Can you just tell her to, I don't know, pay part of it, help him? Alicia's note under the voicemail said simply, do not respond. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying old memories, Mike's laughter, his ambition, the way he'd kiss my forehead like he was making a promise he didn't know how to keep. There had been good days, before the ego, before the lies, before accidentally slept together. For a second, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered what Alicia told me when this all began. He's not losing his life, Leona. He's losing the illusion that it was ever his. And she was right. By midweek, word spread. Mike's dad had tried to negotiate with the jeweler, but they refused to settle for less than the full $80,000 plus fees. Julia was gone. Rumors said she left after he yelled at her in a restaurant over a declined card. The image of the golden boy, the charming man who cared about credit scores and brand labels, had cracked wide open. And me, I was painting my living room. Soft gray, clean, quiet. Each brush stroke felt like erasing him stroke by stroke, inch by inch. Leona voiceover. Sometimes destruction isn't loud. It's slow, methodical, and deserved. The brush slid through paint one last time before I set it down. My hands didn't shake anymore. The condo didn't feel haunted anymore. I didn't know if karma was real, but if it was, I hoped she took credit cards with a 30% interest rate. Friday morning, 10:00 a.m., sharp. The hallway outside my condo felt colder than usual, like the air itself knew something ugly was about to happen. I'd spent the previous night boxing everything that was his. 14 boxes total. Clothes, shoes, his laptop, expensive grooming kits, even that ridiculous motivational plaque he hung in my office that read, "Winners make their own luck." Each box was labeled itemized, sealed. No emotion, no lingering scent of him, just cardboard enclosure. When the knock finally came, I didn't flinch. Through the peephole, I saw Alicia Tran, my lawyer, standing beside the same weary police officer from before, and behind them, Mike Charles, his father, and Ben. Charles looked like he was there for battle. Mike looked like a ghost wearing a borrowed suit. Ben just looked uncomfortable, like a man who'd walked into a war zone with no armor. Officer Ms. Hayes, we're here for the civil standby. You'll remain inside your residence. Mr. Dawson and his helpers will only retrieve the boxes by the door. No one goes further in. Everyone stays civil. Understood. Me understood. I opened the door. The hallway fell silent. 14 boxes neatly stacked along the wall, proof that I'd done everything right. Ben muttered, "That's it. He had way more stuff than this. Me." "Everything he listed with his lawyer is in those boxes," Charles sneering. "You expect us to believe you didn't keep any of his valuables? What about that sound system he bought, or the art piece in the living room?" "Those are his, Alicia. All purchased before he moved in with Ms. Hayes's credit statements to prove it." "Anything else, Mr. Dawson?" Charles's face went red. "This is ridiculous. She's vindictive. She's petty officer firmly." "Sir, watch your tone. This is a legal process, not a shouting match." Mike stood silent through all of it. He looked thinner, paler, like the arrogance had been burned out of him, leaving just exhaustion. He grabbed the first box, then another, but when he reached for the smallest one, the one with his jewelry and personal accessories, he stopped. His eyes flicked up to me. "Mike, you did this." "Me. Did what, Mike? You planned it. You knew I'd drown in this debt. You let me sign for that ring. You let me think I was winning." "Me quietly." "You insisted on it, Mike. You said it was for your credit portfolio. I just helped you pay it until you made it clear I wasn't part of the future you wanted. Mike, you should have stopped me." "Me. You weren't listening." His voice cracked half anger, half desperation. "Mike, you were supposed to love me even when I messed up. You're supposed to take care of me. You don't just walk away when someone breaks." "Me. You didn't break Mike. You built the wreckage." The silence that followed was brutal. Even Charles didn't know what to say. Charles, gritting his teeth. "We'll sue you for every penny, Leona. You hear me? Every penny." Alicia calmly, like swatting a fly. "You've tried that already, Mr. Dawson." The court dismissed it. "I advise you leave now before this becomes trespassing. Officer, time to go, folks." Mike hesitated at the doorway. He stared at me, eyes bloodshot ring still gleaming on his finger. "Mike, you won, didn't you? You ruined me. I have nothing left." Me softly. You still have the ring, Mike. You said it was your future." He looked down at his hand like it had turned radioactive. For a second I saw it, that flicker of realization. That maybe this wasn't revenge. Maybe it was justice. Then he turned and walked away. Box by box, they vanished into the elevator. The metal doors closed with a final mechanical ding. The officer turned to me. "Officer, ma'am, we're all set. Everything was handled properly, Alicia. You did good, Leona. He's got nothing left to hold over you." When they left, I stood alone in the quiet. The hallway still smelled like his cologne, faint fading. I locked the door and slid the chain across. Then I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Leona voiceover. "Some people think closure comes from forgiveness. They're wrong. Sometimes it comes from watching the door close and not opening it again. It's strange the things you notice once the noise is gone. The hum of the fridge, the echo of your own footsteps. Even the silence has texture soft like a blanket you didn't realize you missed." It's been a month since the retrieval, since Mike stood in my doorway looking more like a shadow than a man. I haven't seen him since, but rumors, they travel faster than healing. According to Alicia, the jeweler finally escalated his account. Collections, lawsuits, bankruptcy filings. He never made another payment. Julia left him 2 weeks after that last visit, the day his credit card stopped working. His father, Charles, tried to negotiate a settlement, even offered to mortgage his house. But the jeweler refused. They wanted the full balance plus interest and late fees. Over $86,000 now. Alicia's voice had been steady when she told me all this. "He'll have to declare bankruptcy before he's 31. Once it's processed, the jeweler will repossess the ring and auction it off for a fraction of its value. Debt cleared, credit destroyed. Me. So he'll finally be free." Alicia free, yes, but not the kind he wanted. I didn't feel victory. No champagne, no satisfaction, just stillness. I'd lost money, $25,000 in deposits, payments, and time I'll never get back. But I gained something I hadn't known. I was missing peace that didn't need to be earned. I started painting again. Not the walls this time, canvases. Abstract shapes, cool grays, and soft blues. Everything I couldn't say in words, I poured into color. A few weeks later, I took a trip to visit my parents. They didn't ask about Mike. They didn't have to. Mom hugged me longer than usual. Dad made my favorite soup. Simple things. Real things. That night, Mom left a glass of wine by my side and said, "I'm proud of you, Leona. Not for what you did, but for what you didn't. Me. Didn't what Mom didn't let bitterness make a home in you." I didn't reply, but I smiled, because deep down I knew she was right. I hadn't become cold. I'd just learned where warmth didn't belong. When I came home, there was a small package waiting in my mailbox. No return address, just my name handwritten in familiar looping script. Inside was a small velvet pouch and a folded note. The handwriting was shaky, unfamiliar, but the stationery belonged to the jeweler. Final notice paid in full. Repossessed item returned to account holder. No further balance due. Inside the pouch was the ring, the same $80,000 diamond that started everything. Now duller, scratched, lifeless, like it had lived 100 years since it left. I turned it over in my hand. It didn't sparkle anymore, just reflected the room around it, the quiet condo, the gray walls, and the woman who'd finally stopped apologizing for protecting herself. I placed it in a drawer and shut it gently. That night I opened all my windows. The city buzzed faintly outside, distant laughter, traffic life moving on. For the first time in months, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. Leona voiceover, I didn't win. I just survived. And sometimes survival is the most honest kind of victory there is. Freedom doesn't sound like laughter or applause. It sounds like silence and peace. She stands by the window as dawn creeps in. The light hits her face, soft, clean, unburdened. She smiles once. And if anyone asks